So you're thinking about moving to Hayward. Before you do, let's talk about the 10 things that could make you seriously regret it. I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. This is what people wish they knew before making the move. The first one, the weather will surprise you. Hayward's weather can be a real shocker. It's not that warm, sunny California climate people picture when they think the Bay Area. Instead, you get this mix of microclimates that can shift dramatically even within a few miles. For example, in the Hayward Hills or the Fairview area, mornings can be foggy, damp, and chilly. You'll definitely want a hoodie, but just drive downhill to Tennyson Road and it's already warming up. Clearer skies, less wind, totally different. And then you head out to the Eden Shores. You're probably in for a calm morning, but by mid-afternoon, you're getting blasted by those bay winds. I've seen patio furniture take flight out there. So if you're moving here expecting stable, beachy California weather, Hayward might throw you a curveball. And if you're planning a walk, a hike, or even just what to wear to work, better check the weather app twice. And hey, if this kind of honest local insight is helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm Mac Rogers, and I break down the real pros and cons of living here in the East Bay, especially if you're thinking about buying or selling in places like Hayward, Castro Valley, or anywhere nearby. Okay, let's move on to the second one. The traffic and commute can be a headache. One of the biggest pros of living in Hayward is the location. You're right at the heart of the Bay Area. Whether you're heading to San Francisco, San Jose, or the Peninsula, you're looking at about 30 minutes or less, if there's no traffic. But here's the thing, there's almost always traffic. Because Hayward is so central, you're not just commuting, you're sharing the road with everyone else doing the same. That means the 880 crawl heading south or north, 580 bottlenecks near Castro Valley, and the 92 bridge, brutal during rush hour. That quick 30-minute drive, realistically double that. Sometimes even more during peak hours, or if there's an accident, and let's be real, there usually is. Now on the plus side, BART is a solid option, and honestly, it's gotten easier to park since the pandemic. Less crowding, more open spaces, and you can pretty much reach any major Bay Area city. So yes, Hayward's central location is a huge perk, especially if you're flexible or working from home. But if you're doing a daily commute, the time spent in traffic might be something you regret fast. If you're buying your first home or thinking about selling, I've got a quick free guide that will help you walk through everything you need to know before making a move in today's market. Just send me a message, I'll get it to you, no pressure. Okay, moving on to number 3, drastic neighborhood variation. The Tale of Two Haywards is a city of contrast, and for some buyers, that's a big reason for regret, because unless you know the area, it's easy to get the wrong impression from a listing photo. Let me paint you the picture. You've got luxury living, views of Hayward views of the bridge, or in Stonebrae, it's more gated community with country club amenities and homes pushing well into the 7 figures. Think high ceilings, Tesla chargers, and unobstructed bay views. Down near the water, you've got Eden Shores, a clean, master planned community with wide streets, trails, and newer construction feel. It's well kept, close to the San Mateo Bridge, and commuter friendly. And then there's everything in between, in Central and South Hayward. That's the thing, Hayward doesn't have the same zoning consistently like a master planned community like Dublin and San Ramon. That means your experience of living here can vary dramatically block by block. And speaking of variety, it's not just the neighborhoods that are mixed bag. The homes are too, which brings me to regret number 4, the condition of the homes, especially when we're talking about older housing stock. Number 4, older homes equals surprise repairs. A large portion of Hayward's homes were built in the 50s and the 70s, and many have seen major updates. That charming ranch-style house with original wood floors might also come with outdated electrical systems, galvanized plumbing just waiting to burst, aging sewer lines made of clay or cast iron, windows that rattle in the wind and barely keep the cold out. And don't get me started on foundations. Some areas have expansive clay soil, and I've seen homes with visible settling, cracks in the walls, or slope floors that make you feel like you're walking downhill in your own kitchen. The regret usually shows up after the inspection, or worse, a few months after closing, when you're suddenly replacing a water heater, rewiring the panel, and realizing the home wasn't nearly as move-in ready as the listing made it sound. That's not to say there aren't beautifully renovated homes in Hayward. There absolutely are, but they tend to come at a premium, and you still want to check if those renovations were done with permits and by licensed contractors. Okay, let's move on to number 5, the school district. Now, let's talk about something that for many families is one of the biggest reasons they decide not to move to Hayward, the school district. Hayward is part of the Hayward Unified School District. And while there are definitely some bright spots, the district as a whole tends to rank below average when compared to nearby districts like Castro Valley, San Ramon, or Fremont. Test scores, college readiness, and funding levels just aren't as competitive, and parents notice. I've worked with plenty of families who love the house, love the price, even like the neighborhood. But once they saw the school ratings, it was a hard no. Sites like greatschools.org and niche.com often give Hayward Schools ratings in the 4 to 6 out of 10 range, with only a few exceptions. And while ratings aren't the full story, perception matters, especially when you're thinking long-term about your child's education or resale value. And here's the tough part. Even if you plan to go private or charter, you're still buying into a district that can impact home value, buyer demand, and your future options if you need to resell. So for families with school-age kids, this isn't just a detail, it's a major deciding factor. And if you don't do your homework upfront, you could end up regretting the move. If schools are high on your list, and honestly, for most families they are, I can help you compare the different districts around the East Bay, including the ones people often overlook. Just reach out and I'll point you in the right direction based on what matters to you most. Let's talk about something that definitely shows up on people's regret list: crime. Now, Hayward isn't the most dangerous city in the Bay Area, not by a long shot, but it does have pockets with higher than average crime rates, especially when it comes to things like car break-ins, theft, property crime, and the occasional violent incident. Websites like neighborhoodscout.com and crimegrade.org often rate parts of Hayward as C or D in terms of safety. But here's the thing, not all of Hayward is unsafe. Some neighborhoods are actually very quiet and community focused. But if you're only relying on online maps or crime heat zones, it's easy to get overwhelmed or be misled. That's why I actually went out and made a full video on this. Is Hayward safe? I walked the streets in neighborhoods that are supposedly high crime and showed you what it's really like during the day. You can watch the full video down below. I'll link it there or probably over here. So yeah, if safety is a big factor for you, and let's be honest, it is for most people, you need to go beyond the data and see the neighborhood for yourself. And if you skip that step, that's where regret can kick in. All right, quick recap. We've gone over Hayward's unpredictable weather, tough commutes, extreme neighborhood differences, older homes, school challenges, and now crime concerns. And listen, I'm not here to bash Hayward. I actually live and work here in the East Bay, but my goal is to help you avoid surprises, because the truth is, a lot of people move here without fully understanding what they're getting into, and that's when regret sets in. All right, still with me? Good, because the next few reasons are just as important, especially if you care about day-to-day lifestyle, quality of life, and long-term value. Number 7, homeless encampments. Another thing to be aware of, especially if you're coming from more suburban or tightly managed neighborhoods, is that some parts of Hayward do have visible signs of homelessness and urban wear and tear. You'll occasionally see this near the South Hayward and downtown BART stations, along certain stretches of Mission Boulevard, around some freeway on-ramp and overpasses. And let's be clear, this is not unique to Hayward. Most Bay Area cities are dealing with similar challenges, from San Jose, Oakland, San Francisco, even Castro Valley. But depending on where in Hayward you are, you might notice it a little bit more, especially in areas that don't have as many city resources for cleanup and outreach. You might come across a few RVs parked long-term, some encampments, or occasional trash buildup. And while it's not everywhere, it can sometimes feel out of place, especially if you're living just a few blocks away in a nice neighborhood or newer development. I've had buyers look at a great house, then drive around the area, and they say it wasn't quite what I expected. Again, it's not a deal breaker for everyone, and there are plenty of neighborhoods in Hayward that are quite clean and well maintained. But going in with a clear picture of the area is key to avoiding regret down the line. Let's talk about one of the biggest shocks for new buyers in Hayward, the price tag. Not long ago, Hayward was considered one of the last affordable cities in the Bay Area. But now, $1 million is becoming more common, even for homes that aren't fully updated or that sit in a neighborhood that has mixed zoning or lower rated schools. So what happened? I call it the squeeze. As buyers get priced out of Silicon Valley, they look to Fremont, then Newark, then Union City, and eventually Hayward. And it's not just from the South. You got also people from San Francisco and the Peninsula, where buyers searching for more space or a backyard, and they all end up funneling into the East Bay, and Hayward takes a hit on affordability. What you end up with is more competition, higher prices, and in some cases, homes that don't feel like $1 million experience. That's when the regret starts creeping in. Now, if you know where to look, there are still pockets of solid value in Hayward, but you've got to be realistic about what that $1 million is actually buying you. Okay, number 9, limited dining and shopping options. Now, don't get me wrong, Hayward has some great local spots. There are a few go-to taquerias, hole-in-the-wall joints, and family-run restaurants that locals swear by. But if you're someone who enjoys a variety, upscale dining, or a walkable downtown vibe, you might start to feel the limits pretty quickly. There's no real downtown scene here. Not in the way you'll find in places like Walnut Creek, San Mateo, Danville, or Livermore. And while Southland Mall is convenient, it hasn't fully kept up with the times. There's been some effort to improve it, but it's not the kind of place where you'd spend your Saturday just browsing and hanging out. Here's the thing people don't always realize. Hayward is big, and because everything is so spread out, even getting to your favorite coffee shop, restaurant, or store might mean driving from one end of town to the other. I've had clients tell me, we love our house, but we're constantly in the car, even just to grab dinner or do errands. And for those craving more options, think better shopping, higher-end groceries, weekend brunch spots, you'll likely find yourself heading to Castro Valley, Union City, San Ramon, and Walnut Creek. So the regret here, it's realizing that while Hayward has the essentials, you'll be spending more time driving to get what you really want. Last up, number 10, natural disasters like earthquake and fire zones. Here's something that doesn't always show up in the listing, but can definitely hit you in the wallet later. Natural disaster risk, especially when it comes to insurance and safety. Let's start with the obvious. Hayward sits right on the top of the Hayward Fault, one of the most active and potentially dangerous fault lines in California. Experts say it's not a question of if, but when a major earthquake will hit. So if you're buying here, especially in older homes, earthquake insurance might be a smart move, but it's not cheap. Then there's fire risk, especially in the Hayward Hills. Homes up there often come with amazing views, but also higher fire danger ratings. And over the past few years, insurance companies have been dropping coverage or raising premiums for properties in what they consider severe wildfire zones. I've seen clients get quoted $4,000, $6,000 a year in insurance, or worse, told that they have to go through the California Fair Plan, which isn't always ideal. So the regret here is thinking you're buying into a peaceful, scenic, hillside community and then getting blindsided by coverage issues, high premiums, or major out-of-pocket risk. So is Hayward all bad? Not at all. It has a lot going for it. Location, value in the right spots, and long-term potential. But it's not a one-size-fits-all city. And if you don't go in with your eyes wide open, it's easy to make a mistake that you'll regret. Hey, I'm Mac Rogers, and I've been helping buyers and sellers navigate the East Bay for over 20 years. If you're thinking about moving to Hayward or trying to figure out which neighborhoods makes the most sense for your budget and lifestyle, call, text, or DM me. Even if you're 6 months out, I'm happy to help you make a smart move. No pressure, just straight talk. Thanks for watching.